Call a council meeting to order tonight. We have a quorum present for tonight's meeting, and tonight will be led in the invocation by Pastor Nate Lazaranzo of First Lutheran Church here in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I'll just ask everyone to please rise.
Thank you for the invitation to make the connection between First Lutheran and City Council. We are close neighbors, and again, I want to let you know that from our side of the church, we pray for good government in our city. Let us pray. Lord God, you command us to seek the welfare of the city in which you have placed us. You commanded us to pray for our authorities. And for this opportunity to begin these deliberations in prayer, we give you thanks. As we come together, diverse people, yet united in a common goal to seek the well-being of everybody, we pray that you will continue to give a sound leadership to our city, new visions of being a welcoming home for all people that come here. And thank you, God, for brothers and sisters who give their time and their leadership and their commitment and energy to govern, to seek the welfare of all of us. And so, God, we pray that in this meeting will count with your blessing. We pray that as our city continues to grow in diversity, we will find creative ways of living together and proactive citizenship and proactive leadership in a proactive community. All of these, O God, we ask in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation that leaders are readers, and the three people we have up on my far right is Linda Haugen, the principal at Laurel Wilder, and then we have Dr. Kathy Coulter, principal at Eugene Field, and then we have Jim Oliver, the youth service for the senior library here. The proclamation reads, whereas reading is the cornerstone of education, allowing each individual to pursue knowledge, understanding, and enjoyment, whereas the citizens of Sioux Falls stand firmly committed to promoting reading as a catalyst for our students' future academic success, their preparation for America's jobs of the future, and their ability to compete in a global economy. Whereas research has shown that good readers are better prepared and more likely to become active and successful members of their community, whereas the city of Sioux Falls continually seeks to encourage and promote reading through the richly varied collections and services available through its public library, whereas the superintendent and teachers of the Sioux Falls School District are committed to the education of our youth, grounded in the principle that educational investment is the key to the community's well-being and long-term quality of life, whereas the Leaders Are Readers Reading Challenge, sponsored by the City of Sioux Falls and the Sioux Falls School District, promotes reading achievement and adult involvement in the education of our students. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, in partnership with the Sioux Falls School District, challenge students attending Sioux Falls Public Schools to read 20 minutes a day for at least 50 days during the time period commencing November 13, 2007, during Children's Book Week, and culminating on February 22nd, 2008. And be it further resolved that the City of Sioux Falls enthusiastically endorses the Leaders Are Readers Reading Challenge, encourages students to meet its reading requirements, and supports the recognition and rewarding of successful readers on Read Across America Day, March 2008. We also have a special group here tonight, the Boy Scout Troop 711 from Explorer Elementary, the Cole Wolf Den 4, and their leaders, Bill Curry and Mike Cole, are here tonight. So would you please stand so we could recognize you? And we want to thank you for taking your time to come down here tonight to watch the City Council. So thank you thank you, leaders, for what you do for these young people. Now, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve the consent agenda? No further motion? All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Consent agenda has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. Now, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved, Jamison.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Motion been made and seconded. Is there further motions? Jim?
I'd like to have a motion to walk in item number 19, which would be the first reading on the campaign finance ordinance.
And I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, that motion been made by Jameson, seconded by Knutson to walk in item 19 on campaign finance. Everybody understand the motion? All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
No.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, 1 excused. That motion has prevailed, so we're back to the main motion as amended. Further comments? Motion been made and seconded to approve as amended. All in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. The regular agenda has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused, as amended. Now, we're at the part where anyone that wishes to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, we ask you to come forward. We ask that you would give your name and your address and any topic of interest to you at this time. Anyone want to come forward to address the council? I see no one that's coming forward. We will move into the regular agenda, and we will move in with item number 3.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of a portion of the permanent easements in vacated West 37th Street from South Louise Avenue to the Big Sioux River.
Good evening, Chad Hebe, the Office of Public Works, Engineering Division. This permanent easement is located in vacated 37th Street from Louise Avenue to the Big Sioux River. The easement was reserved when the resolution to vacate this right-of-way was adopted by the City Council on November 8, 2004. Louise Avenue Partners, LLC, has requested that a 6-foot by 182-foot portion of this easement be released to facilitate redevelopment of the area. There are no utilities in this portion of the easement, and the remainder of the permanent easement in vacated 37th Street will be retained. Engineering recommends approval.
Questions of Chad, council, on item number 3? Kermit?
Yeah, Chad, vacating or releasing this permanent easement also includes electric and telephone lines and cable TVs. Is that right?
If you if you have that in front of your screen, the dark yellow or the orange is the vacated right-of-way as it currently is. At the very north boundary, there's just a little strip of land. That is the portion we are requesting to be vacated, that easement. It does not contain any utilities.
If I could just ask you another question. Normally, when we do this, if there is electric and telephone and cable and all that involved, do we check with them to make sure, or how does that work?
Absolutely. A lot of times, if there would have been private or public utilities in this easement, the developer, we would have said, we will not release that easement, or else they would have came to us and requested to relocate those. But in this case, they did a considerable amount of work in this area. And we have no easements in here, or no utilities in this small portion of the easement.
And in the future, probably no need for that, huh?
No.
Further questions of Chad on item number 3? Others wish to address the council on item number 3? Is there a motion by the council to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 3, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 3 has been approved. Item number 4.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of permanent easements in the north one-half of vacated First Street between Main Avenue and Falls Park Drive.
This permanent easement is located in the north half of vacated First Street between Main Avenue and Falls Park Drive. The easement was reserved when the resolution to vacate this right-of-way was adopted by the City Council on June 26, 1989. Falls Overlook LLC has requested that this easement be released. The only facility located in the easement is a sidewalk, which is maintained by the Department of Public Works. When a permanent sidewalk easement in the north half of vacated First Street will be granted by the property owner. The permanent easement in the south half of vacated First Street will be retained. Engineering recommends approval.
Questions of Chad from the council on item number 4? Others that wish to address the council on item number 4? Is there a motion by the council to approve item 4?
So moved, Jamison.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on that motion? I see no further comments. All in favor of that motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 4 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item number 5.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of permanent easements in the vacated alley adjacent to Block 36, Brookings and Edmonds addition.
This permanent easement is located in a vacated alley east of Main Avenue and north of vacated First Street. The easement was reserved when the resolution to vacate this alley was adopted by the council on May 28, 1991. Falls Overlook LLC has requested that this easement be released. There are no utilities located in the easement, and engineering recommends approval.
Questions of Chad on 5? Others that wish to address the council on item number 5? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Litz.
Litz moved. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 5 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 6.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of a permanent sanitary sewer easement in Lot 6 of re-subdivision of Sioux Falls Farmstead.
This sanitary sewer easement was obtained from Warren and Hilda Friesen on May 6, 1996, to construct and maintain a sanitary sewer line east of Marion Road and south of Lakeshore Boulevard. Recently, a trunk sanitary sewer line has been extended in Lakeshore Boulevard and on the east side of Marion Road. This trunk line eliminated the need for the sewer line on the Friesen property and it has been abandoned. Friesen Company, or Friesen Family, LLC, has requested that this permanent sanitary sewer easement be released. Engineering recommends approval.
Questions of Chad on item number 6? Others that wish to address the council on item number 6? Is there a motion by the council?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item number 6, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 6 has been approved. Item 7.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising the dollar amount to $25,000 for contracts involving purchase of materials, supplies, or equipment which are subject to competitive bids, and adding remodeling or additions to existing buildings found in Chapter 34 and a half, purchasing.
Scott Rust, Purchasing Office. This is an ordinance to bring our own policy in line with state law to allow for the bid limits to be raised to $25,000 for equipment, supplies, and materials, and for the new construction of buildings to $50,000.
Questions of Scott? Others that wish to address the council on item number 7? Is there a motion by the council?
I so move to approve.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item number 7? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 7 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item number 8.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 15 and a half, fees, and Chapter 40, traffic.
Good evening. Randy Bartunik, Director of Public Parking. The proposed ordinance contains several changes that can be summarized into 2 general areas. First one is that we're proposing an increase to the amount charged for lease parking, and that'll be done at an amount of $5 per month per space. The second item is that we also are proposing increasing the amounts charged for various parking fines. For example, the improper parking fine will increase from $5 to $15. Prohibited will increase from $10 to $15, and the amounts for snow alerts will increase from $25 to $35. And the penalties for paying the late fines will also increase. For example, overtime fines, if they're not paid after 7 days, they automatically will increase to 15, but then if they are all still delinquent after 30 days, it'll go to $30, and if they're delinquent after 60 days, the amount will go to $60.
Questions of Randy on item number 8? Kermit?
Yes, Randy, the last time we talked about this, you mentioned that for parking tickets, if a person does not pay, then we do send out a notice to them.
That's correct.
Is that also true for all these other tickets we're going to be dealing with?
Yes.
Further questions of Randy on item number 8?
Randy, you and I had a conversation earlier, and if there's anybody on the facilities board that might be able to step forward and answer the question, but my concern is that we don't keep up with the maintenance on our parking facilities, and particularly, and talking referred to the leased parking spaces, and our increase seems to be such a nominal amount, and it seems like for every $1 more we would raise it, we would be able to do one of the washes that you told us about earlier, and keep up with our repair and maintenance on them to extend the life of them, and therefore deferring huge capital expenditures. What's the theory on why we're taking such a nominal amount, why we're not?
Again, these rate increases that we have were what were recommended by Walker Parking Consultants. That was done after a series of meetings, public meetings that they had throughout the downtown area. But I think generally speaking, the biggest reason is really trying to minimize the initial shock by going up too much so that we're not having a negative impact to the lease parking customers downtown. So I think the general feeling was to have the smaller incremental increases on an annual basis for the next 5 years.
Is there anybody here from the board? Or
I do have 2 members from the parking board here this evening.
Larry Toll, my business address is 125 South Dakota, across the street, and I'm a member of the Parking Advisory Board. We had a lot of stakeholders involved, Councilor Costello, to be able to try to work through this and get as much input as possible. And as Randy said, we're trying to avoid sticker shock. We probably need to come in annually and do this and get to the rates we need to be so that we're fiscally responsible as far as the maintenance of our facilities and planning to develop new ones.
And do you think the $5 increase versus maybe an $8 increase? My thought was to do $8 over 3 years versus 5 over 5 years to get the 25.
Yeah, I don't think you would find any great opposition from the Parking Advisory Board, and I'm sure Randy wouldn't feel that way either, because we'd get there sooner. We were just trying to lessen the sticker shock for customers and make it gradual. And I think they'll get a very clear message that we need to increase the rates to make it feasible to expand and maintain the facilities that we have.
So amongst the users of the facilities, then, do they understand that there'll be a series of increases and they're accepting of that?
I think most of the people that have had the input have seen the financials, why we're recommending what we're recommending, and they anticipate that there will be more increases to come.
Well, I trust your judgment, and I appreciate your service on the Parking Board.
Thank you.
Further questions of Larry or Randy? Others that wish to address the council on item number 8? If not, is there a motion by the council?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on the motion to approve item number 8? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 8 has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 9.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations for the development-driven Collector Street projects.
This ordinance is to provide supplemental appropriations for the construction of the petitioned collector streets using a bond anticipation note. The collector street projects include the following. S1-07 in the northwest part of the city is Career Avenue from 34th Street North to Benson Road. Project 2 is labeled S3-07. It's South Bonson Avenue from 57th Street to Mission Street. Project 3 is 0602. That is North Bonson Avenue from Madison Street to 1,000 feet south of Rice Street. The next project is S2-07 on the west side of town. That is Valley View Road, 12th Street to 16th Street. Project 5 is on the east side of town, 07-03. That is Grant Street, the Grant Street extension to Foss Avenue. Project 6 is 0701. It's down south on 85th Street. That is Windswept Place from 85th Street to the south. The next project, boy, they're getting hard to see, is 07-10. That is Hillcrest Avenue, 54th Street North to 57th Street North. The next project is 07-06. That is Van Epps Avenue, Benson Road to 300 feet south. And the final project is 0706. It's an alley between Waltz and Prairie Avenues and Brookings and Bailey.
Questions of Chad on item number 9? Bob Litz.
Chad, if I look at all these little squigglies you got in there, do you even have 2 miles of road that we're going to total up?
Probably not.
Very good, thanks.
Other questions of Chad on item number 9? Kevin?
The North Bonson, what do we have in mind in terms, I was thinking we would go all the way to Rice Street. What's the ultimate timeline for that?
The timeline for all of these is to have consultants working on them this winter, and then be bidding these this spring, early this spring, in the anticipation of getting them completed in 2008.
But to go, we're only going to 1,000 feet south of Rice. When would Bonson to Rice be done?
The petition was exactly as I've stated tonight. Once we move forward with the design, we'll be having public meetings, and it'll be determined then exactly what extent the project will be. It could be, all the way down, but some of those details will be worked out during our public meeting and design process.
Okay. And then the last project is an alley. How does that get on our collector street list?
The only reason I mentioned the alley was it was on here as a petitioned project. When we received the petition, it was valid. We've had a public meeting since then, and we did not receive 75%, which is required by ordinance to complete this project. So more than likely, this project will not be built.
But in terms of, and I understand that, but how would we justify it, even if we had all of the property owners asking for it? How would we justify it as a collector street?
We don't. It's not designated as a collector street.
Let me add to that. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. The reason we elected to put this in with the bond anticipation note is just like collector streets, the abutting property owners pay 100%, as well as if we improve an alley. And so it's not considered a collector street, but the revenue source is the same, which means it'll come 100% from the adjacent property owners. The difference in an alley petition, as Chad stated, is a normal street, we need to see 50% or more. An alley, which is an additional cost to a property owner, we actually elevate that up to a 75% participation rate. So to answer your question, it's just because the adjacent property owners do pay 100%, which is the same philosophy as that we have with collector streets.
Okay.
Further questions? Kermit.
Yeah, I just have a clarification. This ordinance is not right now assessing these property owners. Is that right? I just want to make sure.
Correct.
So we're going to have to pass a separate ordinance in the future to assess them.
There'll have to be a resolution of necessity run to actually construct the projects, and then following that, the special assessment bond.
Okay.
So this is not
Assessing them yet. Yeah.
right.
Further questions? Kevin?
Chad, I noticed on the breakdown of funding sources here, we have the vast majority of it, $7 million, is the bond proceeds, but we do have $378,000 in unreserved fund balance, sales use tax fund. Can you explain that?
There are portions of these streets that are either the frontage is owned by the city or else it is a drainage way. So the portions that would be assessed to the city, we have to bear those costs.
And the source is the unreserved fund balance.
Yes.
And do we know what impact that will have on the fund balance?
I'd have to defer to Janelle if she would.
Good evening, Janelle Zer, Finance Department. If you want to refer to your monthly report, the September one is the last one that's been presented, and the page number on that runs down the sales tax balance is on page 18 of that. Right now, we just have over $1 million of unreserved fund balance, so if we take off that, we'll still be in about the $700,000 range. So, any questions on that?
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Further questions on item number 9? Others that wish to address the council on item number 9? Not? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 9 has been approved. Item 10.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by providing a method to remove citizen appointees who miss more than 50% of the board meetings.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
council members, this ordinance is brought to you from the city attorney's office to address a concern that's been expressed by certain citizen boards to the mayor's office. Certain citizen boards have been having problems conducting the business for which they were created because of a lack of quorum at their periodic meetings. These boards have requested of the mayor if there is some way that members who just simply do not attend meetings could be replaced. The mayor asked the city attorney's office to review. Current ordinance only allows the city council to remove citizen board members, and that is for cause. What we're proposing is a very limited window that would allow the mayor to remove citizen board members who miss more than 50% of the board meetings. The reason for this, frankly, is twofold. First of all, we create a standard for the board members of the citizen boards that tells them that they're at least expected to attend half of the meetings if they're appointed. And secondly, if we have a member that simply is not attending, that member can be replaced without having to come and have a formal open hearing in front of the city council and have a council vote actually removing them.
Gary, then would we have like a reserve of backups or alternates that we would be able to ask to serve on these boards at some point? Or?
I would defer to the mayor, but it's always difficult to find members who want to serve, but we always have been able to.
We've got a pool for most boards that people have signed up for, so we have, there's some that are harder than others to get members. We're looking right now for several people to fill slots. I think on I think it's the visual arts is one that we need some participation in. So some are, some we have waiting lists, and others we have to go out and get it. But we have had a number of requests. It just seems like lately where they've had a hard. They can't conduct the meeting because they don't have a quorum because people aren't coming, and we don't have any way of addressing that issue. And as Gary said, for us to come to you, and these people aren't getting paid obviously, but to put them on that kind of spot, it's just not there. But some are a lot easier to fill, and some are a little more difficult.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, do you ever consider just asking them to resign?
Well, that's what we would do with this. This would be, we'd ask them to step aside, but because right now we'd have to come to you to do it, and so it just makes it uniform across all what we want to do.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, that was the question that the mayor asked me, and I think it's even, without this ordinance change, I'm not sure the mayor has the authority to ask a board member to step aside. This makes it clear that the mayor does have, and I expect that's how the vast majority of them would be handled.
Further questions? Not. Let's move to item 11.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the lease agreement for the horse barn.
Don Kearney with Parks and Recreation. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is a horse barn lease agreement between the Sioux Empire Arts Council and the City of Sioux Falls. This lease is for another 3 years, which is the current term of the agreement that we have with the horse barn and the Sioux Empire Arts Council right now. That agreement that is currently in place expires on December 31st of this year. Under the terms of this lease, the city is generally responsible for maintaining the buildings and the grounds surrounding the horse barn, and then we also pay the utilities and the garbage service. The Arts Council is generally responsible for janitorial services and supplies inside the building. They basically take care of the day-to-day cleaning of that facility. And then they also provide the city with an annual report of all their activities they have throughout the year. The consideration on the lease agreement is $1 per calendar year, and that the horse barn be used for the exhibition and sale of artwork, that it be used as a place for arts classes and seminars, and that a reasonable number of those classes be targeted towards youth that have an interest in art. The Parks and Recreation Board has approved the agreement as well as the Sioux Empire Arts Council.
Quick, Kermit.
Yeah, Don, I was just wondering, do you have any idea what a normal rent on that facility would be?
I don't. It's an old building, I know that.
Further questions, Kevin?
Don, were there any changes, substantive changes to the agreement?
No significant changes.
Further questions? Thank you, Don. Item 12.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations for the Career Avenue, 60th Street North to the South project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. The Executive Dean of the University Center, Mark Lee, and myself are here to answer questions. This is a continuation of the topic that we discussed at the informational meeting. And so with that, are there any questions?
Any questions of Mark on item number 12, Kermit?
Yeah, Mark, on the roundabout, I just assume it'd be landscaped.
Okay.
Is that right? It would be landscaped?
It will, and some of those detailed landscaping plans, perhaps Mark Lee can speak to.
Okay.
Do you want to, this is just for council, do you want to ask Mark?
Oh, sure.
Okay, sure. Okay. You come forward.
This is a good time.
Mark Lee, Executive Dean of the University Center. The roundabout that you see depicted there would be landscape. What you see on the outer edge of it is a, if you will, an apron, which is a hard-surfaced apron, so that as trucks or other vehicles that are a little bit larger might be making a curve, there's a little bit of a buffer there. And then the green area is a landscaped area. We don't have a final landscape plan, but it'll be a green area, probably with some low-growth shrubbery and things like that. Nothing real vertical in it because we don't want it to get in the way of, obviously, traffic views.
Are you going to be responsible for maintaining the landscaping?
Absolutely.
Of the city? Oh, okay.
And the landscaping in the roundabout and the green space you see in the medians themselves will be the responsibility of the University Center.
Okay.
Yep.
Further questions? Not. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to set the hearing date for items 10, 11, and 12 for November 19th?
So moved, Brown.
I second
moved
that.
and Knutson seconded. Further discussion on that motion to set the hearing date. Seeing none, all in favor, set that hearing date for items 10, 11, and 12 for November 19th. Vote yes, those opposed vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. The hearing date for 10, 11, 12 is set for November 19th. Item 13.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adding the power to inspect license in Chapter 17, Food and Food Handlers, along with repealing Article 3, Meat and Meat Products, and Article 4, Milk and Milk Products.
Judy Buseman, Health Director. And the major change is this, that as we look at Chapter 17 that we're doing here is some deletion of items that we have not used for a significant period of time. If you notice, we're deleting anything that refers to slaughterhouses and butchering or dairies, which are two major articles in here, this chapter. And then the other updating that we're doing is we had put into our licensing and fees chapter the licensing language, and it was a little bit unclear, and so we put into Section 1714 the specified which items that we are licensing in this chapter then also. That's really like I said, it's a housekeeping process for us to get rid of the stuff that we're no longer using that just takes up the language and moves into what specifying in a little more clarity what we are doing.
Questions of Judy, 9 and 13, Kermit?
Yeah, Judy, can you expand on what you want to do? Like, you said you wanted to clarify things a little bit.
The clarification is in 1714, and it just, where we had language that said no person shall engage in the business of operating food service and grocery and processing, we spelled out those three items. So the food service would be any restaurants, groceries and food would be grocery stores and then food processing establishments. We do still some inspections for, like butcher shops and some of the places that would, and food processing is also used in a restaurant where they're doing some preparing of foods, so that's considered food processing, or in delicatessens where they're doing some processing.
Further questions of Judy on item 13? Now, is there a motion to set the hearing date for December 3rd for item number 13?
So moved, Jameson.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to set the hearing date for December 3rd? Seeing none. All in favor of that motion to set the hearing date will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The hearing date for item 13 has been set for December 3rd. 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 14.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of a portion of the permanent storm sewer and utility easement in Section 7-101-49.
This 30-foot wide permanent storm and utility easement is located southeast of the intersection of Russell Street and Louise Avenue. This easement was granted by the South Dakota Municipal Power Agency, now known as the Missouri Basin Municipal Power Agency, on September 16th, 1985. The property owner has requested that a small portion of this easement be released. When this property is replatted, the owner has agreed to expand the easement an additional 5 feet on the north boundary to improve the city's access for maintenance on the sanitaries or the storm sewer line.
Questions of Chad on item number 14? Not. Is there a motion at the hearing date for December 10th for item number 14?
So moved, Costello.
Costello moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion at the hearing date? There isn't any. All in favor of the motion at the hearing date for December 10th for item number 14, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. The hearing date has been set for item 14 for December 10th. 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 15.
A resolution approving the special assessment roll for construction of sidewalk on North 4th Avenue from East Benson Road to East 60th Street North.
The resolution on necessity to construct sidewalks on North 4th Avenue was approved by the City Council in March of 2006. The sidewalks were installed in 2006 during the reconstruction of North 4th Avenue from Benson Road to 60th Street North. The cost of the project was approximately $3.5 million. 28 parcels will be assessed a total of $171,348.54 for sidewalks. The resolution on necessity estimated the cost of the sidewalk at $23 per foot. The final assessment cost for 4-inch thick sidewalk is $14.54 per foot.
Questions of Chad on item number 15?
Yeah, just to clarify, Chad, you said these property owners are going to be assessed $171,000, and you said the total project was $3.5 million? Or
Yeah, yes.
just for sidewalks, or was something else involved there?
It was a total
the
reconstruction.
street. Okay, the street too. Okay, I was wondering.
Other questions of Chad? Others that wish to address the council on item number 15, come forward, give your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Manlin. I'm with Southeastern Behavioral Health Care. I'm here on Southeastern's behalf, asking if there would be any relief that the council would consider for Southeastern in regards to this assessment. When you, the basic reason that we would ask that is in the 2008 budget, the council approved a grant of $12,500 to Southeastern to help with the cost of the services that we provide to many individuals who aren't able to pay for the services. This assessment comes close to about half of that, the special assessment, which further limits our ability to provide those services. I know when I was going through the process and talking with members of the city council, or the city staff, there isn't anything that we find as a formal process to go through this, much like there is for a owner of a single occupant dwelling. And I guess the basic thing that we came up with is, if we don't ask, you can't tell me yes. So that's what we're asking.
Questions of Patrick?
So it's about $6,000 you are going to be assessed?
Our assessment, I believe, is it's 5418 and some odd change.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit less than half.
And for us to forgive that, would you like the city just to absorb that cost then? I mean, it is a city sidewalk, so it's not your sidewalk anyway. So
any relief that we could get would be greatly appreciated. If it wasn't all of it, if it was a portion, if we were able to get extended terms on paying it, anything that could help us out on swinging the cash flow part of it would be appreciated.
Questions? Others that wish to address the council on item number 15? If there's not, is there council discussion or action?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the city attorney or the mayor or someone, is do we always charge nonprofits for this kind of thing? I'm feeling a little soft tonight on this one.
Mark, do you want to address that?
We do, and as he said, that really the only forgiveness that can be done is if it's a single-family resident that has, I believe, less than $10,000 per year of annualized income. And then those assessments are essentially just deferred until there's a new occupant that may not qualify for that assistance, or the property's actually redeveloped. And so there's a sense that there is a benefit that's been laid on the property, and when it can be paid, it would.
Mark, I have a question. You said that if a family meets certain income guidelines, I think it's $10,000, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so if you make more than $10,000, you're not going to have this kind of forgotten. But if you do make less than $10,000, okay, then the next person that buys the property, assuming they're above $10,000, will be paying. Now, when the person buys the property, is there a lien put against it, or how does that work? Does the person that buys the property know in advance that they're going to have to pay for the sidewalk?
They would, just with any title research documents, that known liens on the property would be researched, and just like Chad had said earlier, just the normal special assessment process with resolution of necessity, then resolution of assessment. That's the formal process to actually levy the lien on the property.
Further questions, Pat?
I guess what makes this a little odd is that we actually, subsidize this organization for the good work that they do. I would think that we probably don't want to mess with the way we handle this, and perhaps if we want to consider some relief, that we would look at a supplemental appropriation in 2008 in some way to see if we couldn't find some relief for them. But in my mind, I don't think we want to mess with our process we have established.
Kevin?
I would agree with Councilor Costello. It's not that I'm unsympathetic to this particular petitioner, but we have a lot of nonprofit entities in this community. Several of us work for some, and we all pay for our sidewalks. So I think we need to be very careful about anything we do with this assessment rule.
Kermit?
Well, I guess I'm very sympathetic to their plea here to have us forgive $5,418. And, the primary reason really is it's not their sidewalk in the first place. The city just very simply tries to have adjacent property owners pay for their own sidewalk, and I think it would be good here to relieve you of this burden because it's not your sidewalk anyway.
Further comments on item number 15? Is there Council discussion or action?
I move to approve.
Who made it? Kevin?
I second.
Kavanaugh? And
I second the
Knutson
motion.
seconded? Further comments on the motion to approve? Kermit?
Yeah, I have an amendment to delete the $5,418 for southeastern behavior.
Your motion is to delete was it 5,418?
418, wasn't it?
Okay, 5,400, that's a motion that, to amend. Is there a second to that motion? That motion dies for lack of a second, so we're back to the main motion by Kavanaugh and Knutson to approve item number 15. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 15 has been approved, 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 16.
A resolution vacating South Sycamore Avenue from the north property line of East 57th Street to the south property line of East Mission Street, as shown on Exhibit A.
This portion of Sycamore Avenue was an improved rural section, but now is unimproved as a result of the realignment of the 57th Street and Sycamore Avenue intersection. A portion of the vacated property will be used for the detention of stormwater. A utility easement will be maintained for public and private utilities.
Questions or chat on item 16? Others that wish to address the council on item number 16? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So,
Kavanaugh moved, is there a second?
second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on that motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh, Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 16 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 17.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to make application for the Clean Water SRF and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan and designating signatories for the loan documents.
Good evening again. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Last Wednesday, we sent you a brief memo just laying out the reason for this resolution. And it's essentially, it's a position that we asked for from the Office of the Attorney General. In the past 20-plus years, the city has not had to go through this step because we've had a formal CIP process, public hearings associated with that. But I think to put us in line with all the other cities within the state of South Dakota, that we will comply. And so essentially what this allows us to do is the mayor to sign the applications to put us on the state water plan. And then item 7 actually designates 4 people that can sign for the monthly reimbursements, which is the mayor, myself, the assistant director of public works, and the director of finance. So to us, this is a housekeeping item, and we're certainly here to answer any questions.
Questions of Mark Kermit?
Yeah, Mark, this resolution is also authorizing the mayor to make application for the Clean Water SRF and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan.
Right.
So there's 2 things that are happening here, right?
That's right. Items 1 through 6 are exactly that, and then the last is signing for the reimbursements.
I guess I have a question even more about the first one here, making application for this new SRF loans. What are we wanting the money for specifically?
Well, to get on the state water plan, there is criteria that is laid out. These projects essentially are, the dollars are appropriated from the Congress, and there is a revolving fund set up. It's a very good interest rate for municipalities. You have to be a municipality to participate in this program. This year, the rates currently are 2.5% for a 10-year period, which allows these improvements, which usually have a very significant lifespan, and you know, based on the improvement that we're going to do, for example, at the water plant, we could have we could certainly have a 50-year life on those 5 additional filters, for example. And so it just allows our ratepayers that we can spread out those capital costs at a very reasonable interest rate.
Is some
That
of
answers
this,
your question.
is some of the requested money for a new well to replace 69?
Mm-hmm.
Because I understand this new well is going to cost $1.5 million. Is that right?
With engineering, I believe it's close to $2 million.
Oh, $2 million?
Mhm.
I've been notified by a constituent who is very much aware of how this whole process works. In fact, this person's on a conservation board that has to give advice to this. And this person told me, this is ridiculous that we want to spend $2 million on one well, a rainy well, when you could. Now, this person is telling me that you could just drill a regular well for $50,000. And if you didn't bring enough water in, just drill another one and spend $100,000 instead of $2 million. Now, this person was very emphatic about this, and this individual seemed to be very credible, too. Can you say something about this?
Well, I can speak to the two different types of wells, because we have both. Right now, the city of Sioux Falls operates 69 wells, and 13 of those are what we call horizontal collector wells. I do have two slides just to show people the two different styles of wells. This is the horizontal collector well, and essentially it is, instead of putting in multiple vertical wells, we have the opportunity to sink one large, what we call horizontal collector well. And essentially what that does is, as you have one building instead of multiple, and right in our area, the aquifer that we have and the well sites that we have about a 4-to-1 ratio that one of these wells is equivalent to about 4 of the other vertical wells. And essentially how these work is that this is a large shaft. It's a 16-foot diameter concrete shaft. Well 71 was recently constructed. And then it comes down to a point where we actually hit either rock or hard clay, and then we start to radiate out. And we can do typically anywhere from 1 to 8 horizontal collector wells. And so if you can envision each one of them having very good capacity, as we look at this, we'll have one station that has one backup generator. If we drill multiple wells, we're going to have to space those out probably at least 1,000 foot, and so that's going to be more land that we need to buy, more roads that we need to build to these wells. We check on these, and so we either visually check or it's going to be more SCADA. And again, it's just, we've certainly, when we look at long-term, these are wells that will certainly be in the system for probably 50 years. I'm not going to argue with her that we could certainly put in one vertical well. We can go to that slide. This is a vertical well, and this is when you just simply drill a shaft. And many times smaller water systems use these. But again, when the water leaves these wells, they have to go to a header system that gets it to the pipe, gets it to the plant. And so if we had multiple ones of these, which we have several of these in our system, that's just more transmission lines that we have to take from the wells to the main feeder, then to the plant. When we build just a horizontal collector well, they're very efficient. It's one site. It usually takes up a very small piece of land, which we would consider that fairly land-friendly. We have one place, and, from our standpoint, we feel it's the right thing to do. And so just to add to her comment, I know she's on the board that reviews the applications. They made a recommendation to deny this project. However, the DNR is our regulatory agency, but also they facilitate the funding, and they are recommending it be on the approved list, and it currently is.
Yeah, I guess I'm really concerned. There's no cost-benefit analysis here at all, because she said that you could have 2 vertical wells to equal this one. And just a few minutes ago, you said maybe 4 vertical wells. Well, let's suppose it is 4 vertical wells at $50,000 apiece. That's $200,000 in comparison to $2 million. I mean, I just think we have to look at this, to see if we have the right project here, because it doesn't seem like we do at all. I mean, 200,000 compared to 2 million, I mean, that's a big difference.
It also doesn't factor in the additional items that we just talked about, which
That's
is
right, and we don't have
land,
any
roads,
numbers, we have no numbers
transmission
on
mains,
that.
so.
No numbers on that, how much it would be. I mean, I guess, you know, I don't think we should deal with this tonight, I guess is what I'm saying, until we can get some better numbers on other alternatives.
Well, and one other step, just to add, there is a facility plan that is done with these projects, and alternatives are reviewed. And we have very talented people that prepare those facility plans and recommend our best alternative. And so at this point, I would recommend that and ask that you'd support us so we can actually move forward with this.
I took the same call from this woman who's very credible and understands this process, but I think we also have to factor in what Mark is talking about. There are operational costs. Just like any time we build a building, there's a capital expense, but the operational costs we have to factor into it too. And the DENR has already approved it, so I ask my colleagues to support this.
Kevin?
Mark, I just want to clarify. You said this is not something new for us. We have, how many of these wells do we have now?
We have currently 13 horizontal collector wells operational, which is this style of well.
Okay. So this is not new. In your experience, or if anybody else can speak to this, what you're telling us is that in terms of cost analysis, these are much more efficient than the other types of wells that the alternative, right? Given all of the things that you've talked about, not just putting a pipe in the ground, but transmission lines, pumps, everything else included, these are more effective.
Right. This is my recommendation to you.
Thank you.
Well, you see, my concern is we have 13 of these already, so we've spent already, is it fair to say 26 million?
No.
No, because they vary in capacity.
Yes. But we've spent millions and millions, and so I guess I'm concerned that have we needlessly wasted money in the past with these wells? I mean, can we just get some numbers? I mean, Mark, if you can get some numbers, you know, about the roads and all that kind of stuff that support your position, that's fine, but we don't have anything to go on.
We can certainly get you for your review the facility plan. And there was public meetings that were held regarding the facility plans in advance of making these applications.
Because the Conservation Board voted against this. Was it unanimous?
There was only one project that they asked to not be put on there, and again, the people that facilitate the program support it, understand the benefits of having this style of well, understand the other operational improvements that a city can make having this style. We've got a proven track record with these wells, and again, I would ask you to support us.
Further comments? Pat?
Mark, why did they recommend not supporting it then or deny it?
I just, you know, that's certainly a question that I could ask the board. I wasn't at the public hearing.
I can answer the question at least from the perspective of this person who talked to Vernon and myself. This person says, this is a waste of money. She cannot believe that Sioux Falls is doing this. That's the reason she gave.
Further questions, Kevin?
Well, I certainly don't know who this person is, and I'm not going to discount her veracity and her knowledge of these projects, but I also believe that we have to have some faith in our own staff's ability to make recommendations. I mean, they have managed our well field for how many years, and we've got 13 of these. It's not something new. So I'm certainly not going to, based upon some unsubstantiated complaint from an unknown person, against our own public works staff.
Who's on the Public Facilities Task Force that recommended this plan of action?
With the DNR?
Yeah, you mentioned the committee or some sort that had recommended this well, or this type of well.
Jim Feeney, the program administrator, will support us on this. He's with the DNR.
Okay.
Further questions, Bob Jameson?
Just a question, Mark. You mentioned that we have more wells, 13 of these wells. What are the others? Are there any Bragstead wells left?
There is, and you'll see a lot of those. Very unique design. Previous city engineer for the city of Sioux Falls actually developed this well. It's called the Bragstead well, and it's a very unique well. Works very well. It's in there's several of them in the airport industrial area, and so it's essentially an area. It's a well that has significant amount of gravel pack all the way around its circumference. Water comes in, and then in a prescribed maintenance period, we actually go in there, take that material out and put fresh in, and those actually work very well as well.
How many of those are left?
I don't have that number on top of my head.
Are they considered what Kermit is referring to as a single well?
I'd get Randy Jansen's plant staff on what their classification is, because it is not essentially a single casing, but I can follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Pat?
Mark, what would be the downside of deferring this and getting a little bit more detailed cost analysis? Are we going to miss any deadlines to apply for any loans or anything? Is there a negative effect to defer it for a week or so?
I believe that it will. City Attorney, want to add to that?
Yes, if the council acted tonight, we still would miss the deadline because DNR brought this to us very late. I believe that they have to, by November 29th, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date, all applications must be in and confirmed, and of course we have the wait period. They said as long as the council acted on this tonight, I don't know if they would hold true for another week, but if the council acted on it tonight, that would be sufficient for them.
Further questions of item 17? Others that wish to address the council on item number 17? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Clarification, Gary. So they're willing to accept our late application then? Is that?
No, they're willing to accept the fact that the 20 days will not have run, even though the application is technically can't be signed until the 20 days have expired. If the council acts tonight, I was told by their council that that would be sufficient for them. And it may be if you delay it a week that would be sufficient too, but I've not asked him that question.
If I can ask a question of Gary, can we put an emergency clause on here?
It does not have an emergency clause. It does not have an emergency clause.
That's right. Can we put one on?
Gary, if we apply and we get a cost analysis and it's not what we think it is, can we withdraw our application or not accept the funds? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay, is there further discussion or is there a motion? Go ahead.
Yeah, I move to defer this till November 19th.
November 19th, motion to defer. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second. Is there further motions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Is it, Mark, can we count on you to get us some numbers on the cost? I move to approve.
Move to approve by Costello. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded.
Well, why do we want numbers after we approve this?
Well, I guess the theory, if I might, Mayor,
go ahead,
is that we'll take our staff's word and trust their judgment that we're doing the right thing, and if they can't prove to us that it is cost justified, we simply either withdraw our application or don't draw down on the funds.
Well, who's going to...
By doing this, we protect ourselves, and assuming that they're correct, we're no worse for damage.
Okay, but if they're not correct, then how are we going to get rid of this resolution? We've already passed it.
Well, I would defer to the city attorney, but I would assume that we just wouldn't accept the money.
Well, you can rescind the resolution. Go ahead.
Yes, the council can take further action to rescind the resolution if they were dissatisfied. Frankly, just because you were approved for a loan does not mean you have to draw down or accept the loan. But if you miss the deadline, you won't be approved for the loan for 2008. You'll have to
Well,
wait till 2009.
we could still have had that emergency clause, right, Gary?
If it qualifies as an emergency.
Well, I think it would.
Well, we got a motion before us to approve. The motion been made and seconded. We'll see what happens on that motion here in
Well-
a second. So
Okay.
let's go ahead, D. Do you have something? So
Well-
let's vote. Let's see where we're at, and then we'll
Okay.
know where we're at. So.
If I could say something,
Okay.
I mean, I would hope my colleagues would reject this, and then we could go ahead and put an emergency clause on this. And we could talk about it on November 19th. Now, that way, we're totally protected. We don't have to, pass a resolution and hope we won't sign this or whatever the case might be. We'll be in total control.
Further comments? We got a motion been made and we got a motion been seconded. So I see no further comments. All in favor to approve the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 17 has been approved. Item 18.
A resolution amending the 2007 to 2011 capital program.
This resolution will amend the 07 through 11 capital program. We have 4 OSEP or equipment items on here and 1 CIP item. Each of the departments are here to explain their individual items. So we'll start with the Health Department and Judy.
Our request for an adjustment for $25,000 will add equipment that will serve as servers and networking for a medical record system. We've been looking at various systems for about 2 years and been looking at outsourcing that, but we can decrease our yearly maintenance if we do the internal networking, and our IT department has recommended that we do that instead of outsourcing and having someone else run the equipment. So that's what the expense is. There's no appropriation for that. We have the monies identified.
Questions of Judy on health? Okay. Let's go police.
Patty Lyon with the Police Department. We would like to amend our OSEP plan to allow us to purchase a aerial platform lift for moving evidence in our gray bar evidence storage area. It's an appropriation of $13,500. Excuse me, it would not mean any more appropriation than what we already have in OSEP.
Questions of Patty? Okay, let's go with General Services revolving.
Regan Smith, Risk and Emergency Management. We'd like to amend the 2007 OSEP to allow for the purchase of a Motorola PrimTrack Live Scan Station Desktop Digital Fingerprinting Machine. This is not going to require an increase of appropriations. We currently use your traditional fingerprinting where we roll it. This would increase our productivity and allow us to get results back sooner from the DCI and peer. Any questions?
Questions of Regan? Kevin?
Regan, it says this here will be funded by the General Services Revolving Fund, the $35,000. What did we normally spend out of the General Services Revolving Fund?
Well, it was for IT, computer equipment, things like that.
And this is just money
that was unspent
Unspent.
for 2007.
Thank you.
Questions of Regan? Okay, let's go with Public Works Streets.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Our item is no additional appropriation. Essentially, is when we purchased the one piece of equipment, the trailer, there was dollars remaining. We also are getting close to doing our seasonal rental of a skid loader and looking at the dollars available there and what it would cost us, again, to rent a skid loader. We've got 26 miles of snow removal that of sidewalks that we remove the snow. We would have about a 2-year payback on this from renting as opposed to purchasing, and so we'd like to use these dollars to purchase a new skid steer a smaller version that links up with all of our attachments. Again, the payback will be in 2 years, and it's no additional appropriation.
Questions of Mark? Let's go to Engineering and Public Works.
Okay, this is building off of the Career Avenue project as well that we've talked about tonight on 2 different occasions.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Others that wish to address the council on item 18. Further discussion by the council? Is there a motion?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve and seconded? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve? Item 18 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 18 has been approved. Item 19.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 14, Sections 14 through 50 through 14-85 of the Campaign Finance Ordinance for Municipal Elections.
Good evening, Deborah Owens, City Clerk. Just to give you a quick update, we actually reviewed a lot of this on October 29th at the informational meeting. And at that time, council members were given a yellow packet that had a copy of our current city ordinance, a copy of the proposed ordinance changes from the Public Service Committee, and then also a copy of the state law that we incorporate by reference. So you all should have that packet of information. To begin, Public Services Committee began discussion to revise this ordinance on May 7th of this year. There were over a dozen meetings, and they invited various guests to attend, and those were invited to give input to the committee. You'll find those meetings available online under City Council on SiouxFalls.org if you care to look at those. And then also council committee members at the time were Committee Chair Kermit Staggers, Committee Member Dee Knutson, who is now the Council Chair, Committee Member Pat Costello, and then Councilor Jameson actually had joined the group in July and has been a part of that discussion. And so a quick overview of the discussion tonight, which is just to review current city ordinance, changes in state law which impact our city election ordinance, and in the past we've incorporated those by reference. Now we'll actually include those changes in our city ordinance, and then to finish up with the public services proposed changes. Current ordinance, this is very brief, which I know some of you will appreciate. State law was incorporated by reference except as were amended by the city ordinance. That was section 1450. Under the current ordinance, reporting is triggered by when you are a candidate. That is determined by a definition in the ordinance. And then once you're determined to be a candidate, there are monthly reports that are due. We have a notice of intent, which is a little different from the state law. And then campaign contributions were those of the state. So those limits were set by the state. And then at the informational meeting on October 29th, we had discussed that there were extensive changes to state law, and that actually the city attorney's office then raised the concern about our current practice, which is to incorporate by reference. There sometimes is confusion between going to state law and going to the city ordinance and which applies, and so they had raised the concern about having campaign finance reporting in 2 locations, and they had asked the council to consider incorporating it all into the city ordinance, which actually the council has done. And so, next slide, please. The state law changes in 2007. There was broad sweeping changes to state law. They had actually repealed 1225 and enacted 1227. There was a number of provisions which actually helped to clarify reporting and when it is a contribution, when it is an expenditure, so that you would know when it actually is reportable. In addition, there were contributions limits that were placed on PACs and political parties. State law says no individual can contribute more than $10,000 per calendar year to a PAC or a political party. They also tightened up the reporting, which for a formation or the termination of political entities seeking to influence the elections. They clarified and placed requirements on entities which engage in express advocacy and are not affiliated in any way with a political committee or a candidate, something that we actually haven't seen a whole lot locally, but we may actually in 2010. Certainly, we have seen that statewide at statewide elections. And then also they added a lot of provisions concerning penalties and enforcement. In particular, the filing fee of $50 per day for late filers is something that the council actually, or the committee had wanted to incorporate in their ordinance as well. And then there are provisions which gave the Attorney General tools to investigate campaign records and to prosecute for violations. And now on to the Public Services Committee. Again, they began on May 7th, 2007, and those meetings can be found online, the minutes from those discussions. There were some objectives. There was a number of topics that the committee discussed over several months, and as they invited different guests in, if you read those online, you'll see some of those discussions and how they occurred and culminated into this ordinance. But there were some objectives that I kind of wrote down for you all, which is the timely disclosure of campaign activity, limiting political activity committees such as the PACs, simplifying reporting. That includes also the reworking of our own election booklet, to include penalties for noncompliance, and then also to stipulate that the city attorney is in charge of enforcement in the ordinance itself. In addition, they had raised the trigger for becoming a candidate to $500. In the current ordinance, remember, it's a definitional determination as to what activity you do, and it's actually very broad, to which determines when you can become a candidate. With the proposed ordinance, it would be a trigger of when you actually raise or expense $500. And once that occurs, then you would file a statement of organization. That's a little bit different than a notice of intent. It's actually just a lot more information about where, who the person is, what they're running for, a little bit of, how do you get a hold of them, and so it's a lot more comprehensive than the notice of intent that's in place now. And then they still would require the financial statement, the personal financial statement, which is required to be filed within 15 days of becoming a candidate. And then a big change was the first financial disclosure statement report will be due December 31st of each calendar year prior to a municipal election. That's actually a substantial different change from reporting every month. And then after you hit that December 31st date, and then in the year following, which would say it would be December 31st of this year, then on January of 2008, you would have a monthly report due the last business day of that month, February, and then March. And then if we go to the next slide, you'd have the final pre-election report due on the last Friday before the election. For those of you who are familiar with the 48-hour supplemental reporting, that actually eliminates that and kind of simplifies that whole process. So you're just doing one more report Friday before the actual election. They also clarified the 60 days post-election termination report for regular and runoff elections. They require all city elected officials to file an annual report on December 31st by noon. There was some extensive work on clarifying the definitions. They also required ballot question committees to file with the clerk's office before circulating a petition. In addition, a filing fee for each campaign financial disclosure statement that is late would be $50. And there was, all of that had been approved unanimously by the committee, but the limit of PAC contributions to $1,000 per candidate in a calendar year did pass out of committee. I think it was 2-1, and 2 in favor. And so that was the only issue that we had actually really talked much about on October 29th. But those are the changes that they actually would like to propose for this ordinance. So what's next? First reading, of course, is tonight, November 13th. Second reading, if you so desire, would be November 19th, making the ordinance effective on December 14th. That's very brief, I understand, but any questions?
Questions of Deborah from Council. Kevin?
Deborah, I noted one of the objectives was simplified reporting. And I certainly appreciate that, but sometimes when you simplify things, you lose the transparency. And that's one of the things that I'm particularly concerned with, that regardless of what the other regulations are, if money is collected, if activities are undertaken, that the public knows about it. How do we know that we're going to have true transparency with this ordinance?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking it. Actually, there's a number of things that we have done by custom. I think both the Secretary of State and the City of Sioux Falls regarding campaign reporting. You'll find that this is a lengthy ordinance. Some of what is actually incorporated through state law we already do by custom, the state as well. But then there are those who find a loophole and they don't want to report. They'll find a unique way to set up an organization, and not to get into any of those things. But I think what you'll find is very comprehensive, trying to very broadly address all contributions, whether it's cash or of another kind. Whether you'll report all expenditures, whether it's cash or something perhaps not in that form, perhaps property being sold, or it's very comprehensive in its requirement of reporting.
And then if I could, one other question. I know you've done a lot of research for the committee on this. I have some question with regard to the PAC limitation. What's your research indicate to you, and perhaps the city attorney could weigh in on this as well, in terms of the legality of us making limitations on their ability to contribute to campaigns?
I'll just touch on I'll let Gary do the advising. I just did some research for the council on a number of things concerning PAC contributions, whether we can infringe on that First Amendment right, and to what extent we can. Certainly prohibiting PACs would be a problem, according to the U.S. Supreme Court. It goes back to a Buckley v. Vallejo decision. And you do find those states, when they have a legitimate reason and they narrowly tailor the law to that end, then the state does allow, the courts do allow, if you will, a tampering or a slight infringement on the First Amendment. The case law that the council had looked at, which was in Montana, the Ninth Circuit, it's Montana Right to Life, and in that case, there was a statewide initiative which the citizens enacted to a number of provisions concerning PAC money and money coming into campaigns, and the prohibition of some of those gifts to campaigns. Montana Right to Life challenged that case and actually lost. The Montana Supreme Court upheld the law, and it's different. There's things I'd like Gary address. It's a different circuit. It's a little different set of facts. So I defer.
Mr. Mayor, we certainly cannot prohibit contributions from PACs in our city elections. That's clear. Beyond that, we delve into what is less clear. We have, and I have not myself, but my staff has done some research on it, and they tell me, although they're not 100% comfortable with the $1,000, they believe it's justifiable and we can defend it, and that's what I would advise the council.
If I could follow up, Mr. Chair. What is our special reasoning, or our what did you call it, special circumstances or sound reasoning for the limitation?
Yeah, can I talk to the committee?
Councilor Kavanaugh, I believe that is what the committee decided, is that, again, we were trying to keep a very level playing field between what individuals can contribute to candidates and to be consistent there, so that that PACs do not circumvent the spirit of our election law.
If I could respond, Mr. Chairman. I think that's, and again, speaking to the committee, I think that's where you've probably missed the boat, because I have a great deal of concern about that. If I happen to be independently wealthy, I could care less what limitations there are on both individual or PAC contributions or corporate contributions. Regardless, I simply will fund the campaign myself. I certainly believe that the city attorney's office is right. We cannot outlaw PAC contributions, nor do I think we want to get involved, even if it's legal, in limiting them in such a manner. Again, my goal here is clarity. If we can have transparency, I don't care if Satan provides me with $100 as long as I report it. That
Mr. Mayor,
I'll provide it.
point of order. This is first reading, not a debate on the merits of the ordinance. First reading is to post it so that people have a chance to study that ordinance and then come forth at second reading and make their recommendation and/or amendments to that ordinance. And I think we ought to follow that process.
My apologies to the counselor. I was simply trying to ask a question as to whether or not you had given that consideration. And I probably formed it in the form of a debate.
I thought it was quite intriguing.
Yes, but I think we should give more information about what actually happened in the committee. This was a big bone of contention in the committee. We spent many, many meetings debating this. You know, there is the concern that the way it is right now, that this ordinance is going to help well-to-do candidates and also incumbents. And then you have a challenger coming along or a person who's not very wealthy, they're not going to be able to compete. So that was a big debate that we constantly had in the committee. Personally, myself, I said no limits, but my colleagues on the council, on the committee, excuse me, wanted to have these kind of limits. What we should be having is more competition in campaigns, not less competition, to help protect certain people who can benefit from this ordinance, well-to-do people and incumbents.
Thank you.
Okay. Dee.
Just additional information is right before our 7 o'clock meeting this evening, I was visiting with Councilor Staggers, and again, because this is a very important document and proposal, and, it was, impossible for us to agree 100% on everything, is that at our next informational on November 19th, there is a block of about 15 or 20 minutes, or maybe a little bit more than that, Councilor Staggers wondered if we could, discuss this a little bit more then at our informational too, since it's so important. So why don't we just plan on doing that unless you object to that?
Further questions of Deborah? If not, is there a motion to set the hearing date for November 19th for item number 19?
I so move.
Kavanaugh, Knutson. Kavanaugh made his motion. Knutson seconded. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of setting the hearing date for November 19th for item 19, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
No.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted, 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. November 19th is the hearing date for item 19. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Jameson.
Jameson moves, second.
Let's.
Litz seconded. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
We stand adjourned.